Good morning, everybody, and a happy Wednesday morning to you. Instead of becoming Diana, I should say becoming Charles Manson. You'll see why once you get into this video. As usual, we have some royal family stuff and a lot of Harry Meghan stuff. Let's just jump in and get started. Let's go. We're going to start out with Catherine, the Princess of Wales. She is speaking out to urge compassion and understanding for those who are in the grip of addiction. And she's calling on people to reach out and support those who are suffering from addiction in all its forms and, quote, reframe this issue with kindness and understanding. Now, this message came out Monday, November 24th, as part of the Addiction Awareness Week, which is run by the charity Forward Trust. Catherine has supported this cause of helping addicts and their families and breaking the stigma of not talking about the issue since the early days of her public life after marrying Prince William in 2011. She wrote a letter and she said, "It's been humbling to see the significant process made to better understand addiction and tackle the stigma surrounding it. But there remains much more to do. Addiction is not a choice or a personal failing, but a complex medical health condition that should be met with empathy and support. But still, even now in 2025, people's experience of addiction is shaped by fear, shame, and judgment. This needs to change." Catherine is the royal patron of the Forward Trust, which this week has published a new survey, and it found that 53% of adults in the UK have experienced or know someone who has lived with drug, alcohol, medication, or gambling addiction or dependency, with 1 in 10 personally experiencing addiction themselves. And half of those who have personally experienced an addiction or dependency said they would be uncomfortable speaking with their employer, while a third would struggle to speak to close family members. Now, sticking with Catherine, it's been announced a new £100,000 research grant through her Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood has been given to study and combat technoference. It's the disruptive impact of digital devices on parent-child relationships. And this project is going to investigate why this happens and develop practical solutions to help families reduce distractions and strengthen early bonds. And this initiative is part of her ongoing commitment to the social and emotional development of young children. Let's move on now to Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. She's Chancellor of the University of London, and she gave honorary degrees on 5 honorary graduates for distinguished achievements in their respective fields. Recipients include Sir Terry Waite, who's a co-founder of Hostage International, who was captured while seeking the release of hostages in Lebanon and spent almost 5 years in solitary confinement. Also, Suzanne Schofield, who established the John Schofield Trust in memory of her husband, who was a journalist killed in action. Let's move on now to His Royal Highness Prince Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh. He arrived in Ghana on Sunday, November 23rd for a 2-day official working visit, which is aimed at deepening ties between Ghana and the United Kingdom. And one of his first stops was at the Presbyterian Women's College of Education, where he went to visit a kindergarten and a teacher training classroom. And that engagement was highlighting the work of Sabre Education, which is in partnership with the government of Ghana and supported by the UK in enhancing play-based early childhood learning and strengthening teacher preparation systems. Now, obviously, during this visit, Edward toured all of the facility. He observed a classroom lesson. Obviously, he got involved with the classroom lesson. And then, of course, he unveiled a plaque before moving on to the next event and got some absolutely gorgeous flowers from a beautiful little girl as well. I'm hoping to get the rest of this in order. There was a lot. So after the school, Edward traveled to the Aburi Botanical Gardens, which is really an historically rich site that has played a significant role, it's being reported, in West African botanical and agricultural development. Now, the garden focus is on promoting scientific agriculture and botanical research, serving as a center for education and conservation. And Edward met with Dr. Hugh Brown, Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, and His Majesty Otobor Dejan Kwasi, Chief of Aburi, and also the head of the traditional area in Ghana. Edward did an overview of activities that support forest conservation and sustainable practices, and heard about their joint efforts with the cocoa industry. Of course, he was giving samples of things to eat and things to drink. And keep in mind that the cocoa industry there supports millions of livelihoods. And beyond its economic impact, cocoa farming has shaped Ghana's agricultural landscape and its symbol of resilience and growth. Edward also had the chance to see the cedar trees along the main boulevard and was invited to plant a tree, which of course he did. Now, another thing that happened was Edward was given a local garment. It's a traditional one from Ghana. Again, this happened during his visit to the botanical gardens. It was presented by the king of the Aburi region. I'm not going to try to say his name again. And it was presented to celebrate his visit to the gardens. All right, word out, and I don't know if it's true or not, is that Harry and Meghan are actually looking for their next fake tour to go to this place. I don't think that's why Edward went, but anyway, I think Edward did a fabulous job. This looks like the tour was a big success. Good for him. We know the Duke of Edinburgh Award is really growing, and they're bringing in all these new people, and I just think that's wonderful. Fabulous. All right, here we go. Moving on to our next topic. Let's move on to Sarah Ferguson. It's being said that she wants to meet with the woman who wrote 50 Shades of Grey because she wants to salvage what's left of her writing career. She thinks that with some guidance, she can reinvent herself as an X-rated author, and she can write under a pen name so nobody will know it's her, and she can still bring money in. Now, that very well may be true. She has written multiple other books, and they've all done well. And if she can do that, then she won't have to give this bombshell interview that everybody's talking about. And I think Sarah is trying hard not to do that. And of course, Andrew was spotted out riding his horse again. I wish they would just stop reporting on that. He's not breaking cover. He's just getting out of the house. And it's time to move on to our Harry and Meghan stuff. I told you that whenever the YouTubers report something, mainstream media picks it up eventually. How many times have YouTubers told you that Meghan Markle copyrighted Lily's name before she was born? I must have told you that and shown you the screenshots of that. I can't even imagine how many times, but here we are again. Mainstream media is just picking this up. And she did that because she plans on monetizing that name down the line. It's going to be Lilibet Dolls, Lilibet Clothing, Lilibet this. I assure you, they did that not only to upset the Queen, but because since they could not monetize the word royal with Sussex Royal, this is Meghan's revenge. I'm telling you. All right, next up, I just wanted to show this to you because I believe it shows that it's not aging well. Especially, remember, when you look down at the sand and you see that she'd already done that once or twice, and you see the footprints around where she's writing it. Yes, attention to detail. And the next thing you're about to see is something that somebody did on Twitter, and I did the same comparison 4 years ago, but not in video form. All right, here we go. Remember when we saw the promo for the Christmas special for Meghan, the first thing everybody noticed is that Harry is in it because he's scarcely featured in anything that Meghan does, much less her holiday special. And they're trying to say that it's romantic and they're star-crossed and they just love each other and they're openly affectionate in the kitchen and blah, blah, blah. But the truth is Meghan's bringing out the big guns because if they don't wheel Harry out, there won't be any viewer interest in the program. Personally, I don't think it's going to help. All right, this is one of our bigger stories for today. It's being reported now in a new biography that Meghan Markle felt that living at Kensington Palace was like living in a prison. So according to Tom Quinn, she found Nottingham Cottage on the Kensington Palace grounds deeply underwhelming. This is where Harry lived before they met, and they continued to live after the wedding. Now remember that Catherine and William lived there with baby George while their home was being built. But this 2-bedroom residence apparently was a point of frustration for Meghan. Meghan actually convinced Harry that he was put into this small cottage because it was a reflection on how the royal family really felt about him. They were belittling him. Apparently, once the initial glamour of royal life wore off, Meghan was horrified by living in this little cottage and the daily routine of being driven to official engagements. Now remember, while this was going on, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester had vacated their apartments, which were right next to William and Catherine's, and they were being renovated specifically for Harry and Meghan. But by then, the shine had worn off on that relationship, and Meghan didn't want to live next to them in apartment 1A. She was very jealous and envious. Even Harry wrote in the spare that as he's walking through the apartment with Meghan, she's going, wow, oh, ooh. But she could have had the exact same apartment. So Meghan says, well, let's just move into Windsor Castle. Let's ask the Queen if apartments can be made available for us, because I don't want to live in this cottage, and I'm not living in that fancy schmancy apartment that's being built for us. And the Queen, of course, immediately said, no, that's inappropriate. And they were then given Frogmore Cottage. Now, Meghan thought she was getting Frogmore House, where her wedding reception took place. And she was like, wow, I actually could do that. She didn't realize she was getting Frogmore Cottage. Now that is a 5-bedroom property. It underwent extensive renovations for Harry and Meghan, with one builder telling the author Quinn it was being redesigned to resemble a California condo. But the move didn't do anything for Meghan. As a matter of fact, that move was the final straw for Meghan, who, while she was overseeing the renovation project, she complained, I'm not retiring to rural obscurity. She soon realized that where she was going made Kensington Palace seem vibrant by comparison. Its remoteness from Kensington made it seem like Kensington was the center of the universe. So Meghan essentially screwed herself out of an apartment just like William and Catherine. She tried to get into the castle, and she ended up in this cottage out in the middle of nowhere. Let's keep going. This is very interesting. They're saying that Meghan Markle's frantic insistence on using the title of Duchess is an attempt to imprint her royal connections on the public before the titles are inevitably removed. Remember, the house manager announced Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, to a lone journalist. Less widely noted was the article opens with Meghan insisting on the same treatment while meeting a group of school children at the tar pits. It was absurd. It was ridiculous. It really was. But the Harper's Bazaar interview was meant to be a finger at the royals. It was released also on the very same day that William and Catherine attended the Royal Variety performance, and this was nothing but another clear attempt to overshadow them. I mean, they're saying Meghan's behavior increasingly looks less like confidence and more like preemptive branding. Meghan appears to have woken up to the direction of travel, because before Andrew, the argument was that divine right meant that royal titles could never be taken away. And now that Andrew's title has been taken away, people are asking, why aren't you taking theirs? And so Meghan's strategy is to use the titles more, not less, across the private, commercial, and PR planes of her existence, to try to imprint them on the public mind. And the same applies to her use of Sussex. Now, Megyn Kelly, who has the Megyn Kelly Show, was on with Link Lauren, and they were going through the article as well, talking about how Meghan makes everything about herself. And they even talked about how in every interview, she says, I'm a founder. Megyn Kelly pointed out, I'm a founder. I have my own media company. You're a founder. You founded Spot On with Link Lauren. Most normal people don't run around referring to themselves like that because they know it makes them sound artificial, narcissistic, and insecure. They talked about the part where Meghan goes, "He loves me so boldly. No one loves me more than him." And then they refer to Harry's behavior when they did that staged thing, after the game. And then they talked about Meghan's entire identity is wrapped up in being the smart one. Well, where's the smart identity? Was it smart to leave the royal family to sell jams, jellies, dog biscuits, and wickless candles? Like, you could be royalty right now, British royalty. Look at the state dinner they had recently where Trump sat next to Catherine and Camilla and the whole delegation. You could have been there, but instead you're with the Kardashians. Now, next up, Harry and Meghan put a statement out through Archwell about the digital age and what it means to grow up, and our children's safety is the motivation. And now in its third year, we continue to surface urgent truths. Basically, they haven't done anything in 3 years, but put out a bunch of statements. They've made absolutely no changes whatsoever. All right, moving on. I'm not sure why this is coming up now, but all the things that Harry and Meghan did in their Netflix docuseries, which were so disingenuous, are coming up again. And one of them is the fact that Harry and Meghan edited the famed speech from the Queen when she turned 21 to totally change its meaning. So I'm going to play for you now the original speech.
Dedication now. It is very simple. I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
Now here is what Harry and Meghan's version said on their Netflix docuseries.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
And for those of you who didn't catch it, the line where she says, quote, "whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong." That was absolutely deleted. And to me, that shows a complete lack of respect for Harry and Meghan. Harry knew what they were doing to his grandmother's speech. This man and his wife used the grandmother's own words to try to say that she was racist. And do you guys remember when Harry said it felt like history was repeating itself and they tried to make it look like the paparazzi were chasing Meghan? Come to find out, those pictures were from Katie Price. She was arriving to court for sentencing. No, Harry, Meghan. Or you have this picture. They really want you to believe that Meghan was hounded as much as Diana and Catherine were. But this picture was taken outside the home of Trump's former attorney as he was leaving to head for prison. For some reason in their Netflix docuseries, they really wanted to push the narrative that the press, it's always the press, the press, the press. And they even used this picture that you're looking at above. Let me remind you, that was taken at the Harry Potter premiere in 2011. How about this picture? Do you guys recognize this? They were leaving Desmond Tutu's house with the baby, and it's supposed to show intrusion by the press, but it was taken from an accredited pool at the residence. There were only 3 people that were there, and Harry and Meghan agreed to the position. The narrative of the press, I'm hounded. It didn't work then. It's not working now. And they try to make everybody think they're so important. Now, I don't know why this is coming back up again, but there's your reminder. And finally, really quickly, you remember Meghan was seen in New York wearing an $8,000 outfit from Chanel. We know about the other outfit, the green one. We know about the shoes. And people are saying that she has, quote unquote, sticky fingers. She tends to take things because she believes that as the Duchess of Sussex, she can take them. Now, I don't know that she took them, but it's very obvious she didn't pay for them because money is running short. So my belief is that she probably said to them, "Excuse me, I like these outfits. Can I have them?" And maybe they were given to them, because I don't believe for 1 second that she paid for them. I just don't. But I don't know that she would steal at this stage of the game either. You know what I mean? Oh my goodness. Put those comments down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Go down into the description box where you'll find the links to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.